John was born into the buzzing heart of Lagos, where the sound of honking vehicles replaced the village rooster. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Isaiah, lived in a modest two-bedroom apartment overlooking busy streets and endless traffic. Despite the chaos around them, their home was a sanctuary of prayer, love, and discipline. As their only child, they poured all their hope into him. Every morning before school, Mrs. Isaiah prayed for him with an intensity that reflected a mother's deepest fears about the city. And John, ever obedient, soaked in their teachings like a sponge. From a young age, John was the definition of a church boy. He played drums during praise sessions, recited Bible verses with confidence, and served as a junior usher who took his responsibilities seriously. People in church often whispered, "This boy will go far." He wasn't perfect, but his heart was clean. While other children explored the rough corners of the neighborhood, John spent his evenings reading scripture or practicing new gospel songs. His parents believed their spiritual foundation had secured his future. John dreamed big, bigger than the rooftops and streetlights that surrounded him. He wanted to become a civil engineer, build bridges, and help transform the city he lived in. His parents encouraged him relentlessly, saving every extra naira to secure his education. When he gained admission into the university, the entire church celebrated. People said, "This is the beginning of greatness." John believed it too. Little did he know that the city tests every soul that walks its streets. When John arrived on campus, the freedom hit him like fresh air. No more curfews, no daily devotions, no mother knocking on the door every morning. The university environment was vibrant, loud, and filled with students who dressed boldly and spoke with street confidence. The first few weeks were harmless. John attended classes, stayed in his hostel room, and even joined the campus fellowship. But as time passed, the campus life hit John like cold water. The freedom felt intoxicating, like stepping into a world without boundaries. He tried to maintain his routines at first, attending church services and sticking to his books. But the campus environment was a wild beast, one that consumed slower than fire but deeper than water. John made new friends, especially Tiga and Smooth, two streetwise boys who lived in his hostel block. Unlike John, they weren't interested in church or classes. They had money, expensive sneakers, and a mysterious aura that attracted attention everywhere they went. At first, John pretended not to be impressed. But deep down, their lifestyle intrigued him. They ate at the most expensive eateries on campus, never queued for anything, and seemed to command fear from everyone. Without knowing it, John began spending more time with them, skipping fellowship meetings and coming back to the hostel late at night. John drifted from the values his parents painstakingly planted in him. John started missing church services. Then, he missed phone calls. Then, he lied to cover his new lifestyle. Mrs. Isaiah noticed the change first. The little warmth in his voice began fading. His father also sensed a drift but said nothing for fear of pushing him further away. The city swallowed John without noise. While he smiled on campus, his parents prayed at home, unaware of the storm brewing around their beloved son. One night at a popular campus bar, John's new friend spoke to him about Brotherhood of the Black Fist, a feared confraternity known for power, protection, and influence. They painted the life as glamorous, full of brotherhood and respect. John hesitated. Somewhere deep inside, he heard his mother's prayers echo. But in a campus ruled by fear and prestige, he didn't want to remain a nobody. That desire became the crack that darkness seeped through. The initiation took place in an abandoned warehouse behind the university's old power station. Armed members surrounded him, masked and chanting. John was blindfolded, pushed, beaten, forced to recite oaths he didn't fully understand. When the blindfold was removed, he stood marked physically and spiritually. The church boy known as John had vanished. In his place stood a new identity, Shadow J. A name that carried weight, but also death. John's new life changed him rapidly. He walked boldly, and spoke with confidence that bordered on arrogance. Students moved aside when he approached. Even lecturers knew better than to provoke members of the Brotherhood. But this new life came with responsibilities. Night meetings, violent errands, and dangerous tasks. John's conscience still whispered to him at night, but he buried those whispers under alcohol and bravado. The deeper John sank into cult activities, the more he lost himself. He barely attended lectures. His grades fell hopelessly. He became involved in intimidation, extortion, and rival clashes. The path he chose was no longer a secret to the streets. Still, in his illusion of power, John believed he was untouchable. He forgot that every confraternity member eventually pays their dues one way or another. John's mother sensed something dark. Mothers always do. She called often, prayed longer, fasted more. One evening she told her husband, "That boy is not okay." But they didn't know how to reach him. The city eats children quietly. Parents only hear the echo of the swallowing. One day, a rival confraternity attacked John's group outside a popular nightclub. Bottles broke, machetes flashed, screams filled the air. John barely escaped with deep cuts on his arm. Fear took hold of him, even though he pretended to be brave. But fear alone wasn't enough to change him. Instead, he sank deeper into the group, believing loyalty would protect him from death. One evening, a rival cult member was attacked near the school gate. John was present. Though he didn't strike the blow, he helped hold the victim down. The boy died before reaching the hospital. John couldn't sleep that night. His hands shook uncontrollably, and his conscience screamed. But Tiga told him, "Guy, nah normal level. You done cross line already." Slowly, John numbed himself to the horror. The Brotherhood received threats from rivals. Anonymous texts. Notes slipped under doors. Rumors of a planned strike. The tension on campus grew thick, almost visible. Everyone walked with caution. John's heart pounded often, but he masked his anxiety with reckless confidence. The tragedy waiting for him was closer than he knew. One late night, John left a party with two of his members. They were walking through a dimly lit street when a rival gang ambushed them. Within seconds, bullets pierced the air. Screams tore through the night. John ran, but he didn't get far. A bullet struck him. Then another. He collapsed on the ground, bleeding, staring at the streetlights that suddenly blurred. His killers disappeared into the darkness, leaving him to die alone. John gasped for breath, blood pooling around him. His phone rang. It was his mother. Again. He tried to reach for it, but his hand fell weakly. His vision dimmed. His heart slowed. In his last seconds, he whispered, "Mama. I'm sorry." And just like that, the city claimed another soul. The boy who once drummed in church died on a cold street, far from everything that once made him pure. The police notified the Isaiahs the next morning. When John's mother heard the words, "Your son is dead," she screamed and collapsed. Her heart couldn't take the weight of the tragedy. Neighbors rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. She died the same day, her heart unable to bear the news of her only child's violent end. John's father didn't cry loudly like his wife. His pain was silent, but deeper. He sat motionless for hours, staring at nothing. He barely spoke. Barely ate. Barely existed. His world had ended twice in one day. The city that promised opportunity had destroyed his family. The shock settled into his bones permanently. John's father withdrew completely from society. He stopped attending church, lost interest in his job, and barely ate. Friends tried to comfort him, but nothing could heal the wound left by losing both wife and child within 48 hours. The house became cold, silent, and empty, its walls filled with memories of laughter that would never return. Months passed, but the pain did not. The once lively home became a silent chamber of memories. The story of John and his family became one of the most heartbreaking urban tales, showing how one wrong decision can destroy not just one life, but many. Young people who heard the story often went silent, realizing the danger behind the glamour of campus cultism. It wasn't just violence, it was generational heartbreak. The city did not pause. Cars still honked. Markets still opened. Schools still resumed. Life moved on, as it always does, uncaring of the dead. John's story became a modern painful reminder that the city is full of traps wrapped in glamour, and the price of straying from one's foundation is always heavy. Some survive the streets. Many don't.